Hey, this is Dan Larsson. Welcome to my studio. And this is Synthesize Sunday 86. Today I want to show you how to make a really nice Neuro drum and bass sound, which comes entirely from Serum. So I didn't use any post-process except an EQ and saturator, maybe, if I remember well. So this is the groove. Let's jump into it. Okay, so this is the Serum patch. I mean, this track is for the bass itself. And the second bass is from a loop from one of my older drum and bass pack, which sounds something like this. To be honest, this is a similar preset, but this time not from Serum, but from Operator, I believe, or even Massive. So this was the original loop. Pretty nasty, isn't it? But let me set it back everything. Okay, so the Serum preset itself is pretty simple, and I added only two things, or well, three things. An EQ, you know, to cut a little on the middles and on the very, very highs, and add some more bass and make the low, I mean the sub portion of the sound to mono. It is very, very important. And a little saturation to the end, because you can make it a little fatter by adding a saturator to the end of the preset. Now, the Serum preset itself is again very, very simple. For oscillator A, I use an MSPW from Analog. It is sort of square wave kind of sound, you know, something like this, with lots of additional harmonics, and it is more like a PVM. But PVM is very similar to square wave, and I modulated it with a dirt bass dropper from Digital. Now, basic principle to create this sound is using FM, but this time not from oscillator A or B or a sub or anything, but from a noise. So if you add only as a different layer to the sound, I mean, if you add noise as a different layer to the sound, it will not create that very exciting stuff. But if you use it as an FM modulator, it can create that very crunchy and nasty tone what you won't be able to create, for example, using distortion or anything like that. And it is the simplest and the most effective way to add some nasty dirt to your sound. So let me show it to you without the FM. So this is the trick here, by the way, for this sound. Obviously, you don't want to add too much. But this very, very cool, nasty, noisy tone, this is not really a noise. You don't hear it as a noise, but it is a crunchiness to the sound, like if it was distorted very heavily. And you can mimic it by using a noise as a modulator, a frequency modulator on either oscillator A or oscillator B, it doesn't really matter. Now, with this chain, I mean, where oscillator A is modulated by the noise oscillator, we modulate these two guys all together, oscillator B. Because as you can see, I use FM from oscillator A, but oscillator A is modulated by the noise. So let me compare it again without this guy here, this warping mode here. So it basically adds a lot more distortion again. Now after it, we want to filter, so I use a low and H filter type, which means it contains a low pass, a notch, and a high pass filter with 24 decibels roll-off rate. And I use LFO3 to modulate the morph, so where you morph your filter between the low pass, the notch, and the high pass filter. On LFO1, I added modulation to wavetable position A and a wavetable position B. And this is all here, so this LFO only drags the wavetable position knob back and forth. So it's a lot more interesting to use this stuff, not static sound, not static cycles or waveforms. And on the FX channel, there is nothing too much happening, only a hyperdimension to add some little thickness and little stereo width to the sound. And the phaser just creates some cool notches to the spectrum, creating a little darker sound. Some distortion too, because we can't live without distortion. And this band 12 is a very cool idea here, because, you know, I'm not using 100 full effects, so basically some top end comes through this filter, which is very good, because with this bandpass filter we add some more, well, EQ basically, or more frequency pressure at around, well, 200 Hz, which is, you know, that very cool evil and dark kind of tone to the sound, so it adds that tone to the sound. With the EQ, I play around with some notches and peaks going back and forth. So let me show it to you again. Which creates a little more vocally kind of tone. Okay, this is all, and at the end we have an OTT like always to even out all the frequencies. So this is the preset itself. It is not that complicated. I mean, the preset itself does not contain too much, but the chain, what I use here, is a little more complicated because, you know, I used a 3-part chain, FM chain here. It is, again, not that complicated, but at least we did something with this preset. So, altogether, it sounds pretty dark and nasty. So in the descriptions you will be able to find some information how you can download this preset, because I offer it for download. So have a look into the descriptions. I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial and see you next time, guys. Bye bye.